Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Senor Nerd Podcast. I have here with me Ramon,
Hey guys.
Raul,
Howdy, howdy.
and we're here today to talk about episode 8 of Demon Slayer, Swordsmith Village Arc. And I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it because this was definitely a very dramatic episode. Raul, last week you couldn't make it to this episode. Ramon mentioned that he might have found you in his basement. So I took it to come to Ramon's house to rescue you because I thought you were trapped in his basement. So sure enough, I came here. I tried to rescue you, go to the basement. He told me he released you yesterday, so you're not even here. So today I'm recording from Ramon's house. He's actually in a room across from me. But Raul, I'm glad you're safe, man.
Well, I definitely I learned my lesson. I'm not gonna do the thing that I did last time. So I'm gonna be a good boy now.
There you go. Learn your lesson. And yeah, Carlos, man, way to displace me. Got me over here sitting in our guest bedroom, like my room.
Well, hey, man, I
For
hadn't
sure.
heard from my boy Raul, so I had to make sure it was okay. Make sure you were feeding him in that cage.
It's
You
okay.
had
You
him
like
in.
you like
The
you
fish
like
heads.
yeah, you liked me in here until you were like 100% sure, but you forgot to unlock the door, man. I need to get out of here soon.
As soon as we're done recording, I'll let you out, man.
All right,
But
thank you, I guess.
no, but this is the kind of episode that I'm here for. The very dramatic, very like giving you like the detailed story behind one of our main characters. And what did you guys think about it? Raul, Ramon, whichever one of you wants to like start us off.
I'm a fan of the like flashback episodes where they go into the background of a character, and in most anime, especially like the good animes, because I don't know, it always kind of puts more context into how a character is and why they are how they are, and then it kind of helps you relate to that character a little bit more. So I'm up for it. I liked it. It was cool. It was sad, but that's like everything else in Demon Slayer. It was sad.
Hmm.
Yep. And I mean, I agree because I think with someone like Muichiro, like Tokito, definitely a character that thus far we didn't know a lot about. Like even he doesn't know a lot about himself. He's still going through this, like trying to recover from this amnesia that he has. And we mentioned this plenty of times in other episodes, but it's like it's just the more and more you find out, the more excited you get. I know last week we got that his dad's eyes are the same color red as Tanjiro's. You're getting more and more and more, and this definitely was the episode that really kind of broke down why Tokito is Tokito, right? Or why he is Muichiro, and what the Mu starts for in Muichiro. So it was a great episode. It gave us a lot of insight, and then again, like always, make him so much more relatable, in a way that you didn't even think he was, because so far he's just been like a kind of quiet kid, young, very talented at this point, and he thinks he's so good that at one point endangers himself. But here we are. He's not the best.
I don't know if I ever told you that you guys specifically, but I want to let you know that the Raw in Ramon and Raul stands for greatness. So, you guys are definitely, in my
Thank
opinion, the
you.
greatest duo podcast hosts that I could have because you guys are both great. That's what you both have, the Raw in your names. I mean, I like this episode a lot. I think, I've always known because I read the manga that Tokito had a twin brother. So I wanted you guys to get that reveal. And, like, it was kind of interesting to watch in this episode. And, I don't know if I was fully trusting his narration because, it felt like, okay, all of a sudden he remembered he had a dad. And then all of a sudden, like, when his parents died, he's like, wait, I wasn't really alone. I had a twin brother. And it's like, I kept
Yeah,
thinking the episode was going to do things where it's like, oh, wait, actually, I've been telling the story wrong this whole time. But, after that whole reveal that he has a twin brother, I think it was like not everything about it. I took it that that's truly what happened and that's the things that he truly remembers. And I thought it was interesting. I've never been in a position where I get so angry that all of a sudden I forget all my memories. I don't know if you guys have ever been in that position, but, like it
it's
was
called
very interesting.
trauma, Carlos.
It's
Oh my
trauma, man. I'm sure there's
God.
things. I'm sure there's things that you don't even think you know, but like start thinking about it, man. One day you're gonna
Repressed
cry.
memories,
Yeah,
repressed
you're
memories.
you're gonna be watching an episode. You're gonna start crying, and you're gonna be like, "What the heck? Like,
Oh
did
my
that
God.
happen to me? Or
I'm
was
like,
that a
wait, I
dream?"
had a twin brother there too.
And I absorbed them in the womb.
And well, Carlos living in the attic. It's like buttons and
No.
no, I mean, but you have a
Or
point
maybe
about
the good Carlos, and
of
this
the
is the
good
evil
Carlos.
Carlos. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
there you go. I mean, that would
Because
explain a lot.
I'm definitely gonna call the other Tokido the evil Tokido because I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna be
Ghost
like
and Evil.
Muichiro and yeah.
Yeah. It was funny though because I mean not funny. So yes, it was a nice surprise to see that he had a twin, right? Because I think we've had some flashbacks, kind of bits and pieces of the flashback that he had today, right? Of him running around, getting lumber or getting wood and all this stuff, and then. I don't think I ever paid attention, but I'm like, maybe at points we could have been seeing the brother as well. I had no clue, right? Like now I can see because they have different garments, right? Different color garments. They have the opposite. But before then, we would have known because they both look like freaking Tokito. And so then in this episode, it was great. Yes, I was really shocked that he had a brother. I was excited because I'm like, oh, wait. Then what happened to his brother, right? Because at this
Yeah.
point, with Muichiro, like all you know is that he doesn't remember things very well. That he's a talented Hashira, so you just kind of wonder what the story was behind it, and then you have to start telling you. And I like the story, right? I like the story because it's another impactful story that they're talking about. That they tell us that they want to just really feel that compassion, that it's not just about someone being determined and wanting to kill demons, that it almost like you have to go through some sort of suffering in order to be that not vindictive, not vengeful, but to be in that mental state. And you could tell that Muichiro is one of the good ones, like Tanjiro, right? And I think that's the whole point of the show at one point, that he's more one of the good ones. That he's not doing it out of spite. That he's not doing it because he hates demons necessarily. Like he's not doing it be besides like there's no bad reason why he's trying to kill demons. It's just the sake that he finds it his duty, especially after they killed. I mean, especially after his parents died and then his brother died because of
Mm.
it. But I think at this point it made sense that the one Hashira leader's wife was visiting him enough, and I think she got into his head about he's from the lineage of great swordsmen. So
Yeah. No, this season kind of seems to me like it's the season about brotherhood, man. If you think about it, like now we had the story with Genya and his brother. Now we have the story with Tokito and his brother. So it's like this season's definitely like talking to us and explaining to us how important these like brotherly bonds are. Because in a way, Evil Tokito was the same way as the Wind Hashira that he it's almost was like so cold towards like good Tokito because he cared for him. He wanted him to like not get hurt in this world and he wanted to protect them, man. So it's just like, man, these stories are really resonating with me, even though I don't have a brother. But I personally have always considered you guys like my brothers, Raul, Ramon, Tony, George. You guys are my brothers. And if I forgot any of you, like David, it's just not that I do it personally. It's just that, I love each of my brothers individually, but you guys are here for me, and I really always have appreciated that.
oh man, appreciate
Well,
it. Much
thank you.
love. Yeah, no, I mean, but yeah, what's his name? Muichiro. The other one's what's his name? His brother's name? I forgot now.
It's a
I
it's a YUI. It's the difference in the name. Like
yeah.
I'm not even gonna try to like. I think it was pure laziness in their parents to like name them with so
Yuichiro. There you
yeah.
go.
But you
Yuichiro.
know
But
what?
yeah, yeah.
Like my name is Carlos and my sister's name is Carla, so you could almost say like my parents were lazy when it came to us. But yeah.
That's a funny one. But no, like yeah, to your point about like how he kind of seeming, you keep calling him the evil brother. But yeah, definitely you hit the point and you kind of skipped a little bit of the trauma to be like, yeah, of course he cared about his brother and he just cared about him so much because he saw the potential in him. But man, those words that he told them, like right, the show's title like Mu is for or Mu in Muchiro, right? And then I think he tells them it's like move in Muichiro stands for incompetence, right? And then like seconds later, he's like, it stands for meaningless, and you're like, what the frick? And so yeah, I mean, even that just kind of makes you a little bit upset at him. But I still definitely didn't think he deserved to die in that way.
Yeah, and the other crazy thing too, if you think about it, so he said, I think his parents died when he was 10, and then that's when he said that. Well, actually, I wasn't alone until I was 11 because he had a twin brother. So from 11 when he killed that one demon, um, and now he's what 14, and he's a Hashira.
Yeah, but even when he had that flashback with his swordsmith, the one that passed away, the swordsmith made a point to say like you train so hard that you like spit blood out of like your stomach because you're always training so hard and nobody can understand like the pain you're going through because you don't know who you are. So I thought that was kind of cool that it's like Tokido not only has like like he's trying to be well he doesn't even I guess they might have told you think they told him like hey even though okay sorry, real quick, why? I'm just saying this because I just thought about this. Why didn't the master tell him he had a brother? Why did they not? Because like clearly his wife went to visit him all the time
Yeah,
in the village. So why did the wife not say like, oh hey, you had a brother and you're actually a descendant of the first like fire breathing samurai swordsman? So it's like, wait, like now I'm kind of thinking like these guys are fucking assholes. Like why didn't they tell him that? Or maybe it's one of those things like you just want him to like naturally remember because then it could be a shock to his system.
maybe it's part of his treatment of because telling him would be too much of a like mind fuck, especially for a Hashira that you
I mean
need.
that
Yeah,
That's what I could think of. I mean, that's the one thing I could think of because, for sure, like you're right. Like the wife of the master, the Hashira, was definitely visiting him often. Like they both know the story, so I think it is something about like maybe those repressed memories are helping him in a way, right? And I think maybe that is part of the way, like Carlero said, his treatment, but like maybe that is a way that he kind of is able to focus his energy, and
yeah,
maybe at this point, because right now in this point where we're watching him, he's remembering all these things. Maybe at the same time, instead of being like, "Oh, I remember I'm gonna be a badass and freaking destroy Gyoko and like do all this crazy stuff that he's doing against the fifth upper moon," maybe he would have broken down, right? So there is potential to be like, "Oh, cool, like we're not gonna tell him because the second that we tell him, he can be like depressed, like freaking just want to kill himself or who knows." Because again, we weren't there for the whole journey, and so far the show's showing you like bits and pieces of it.
yeah.
But I mean, you have to admit, like after he had that flashback, like he completely just went Super Saiyan mode, and he just went crazy, and he was doing what he had to do. Like, and he's so quick, man. I love, and you just got into my house, Carlos, when I was watching that scene right there, and I wasn't even paying. I'm like, dude, I know we were both pretty quiet staring at it, but like. Man, it was such a good scene of just him like running around, slashing like super quick, and Kyoko thinking he hadn't been touched, and then like blood,
No, there's
blood.
something that I was thinking about, especially because I just mentioned like the master and like his wife and the fact that like why didn't they tell Tokito about his like background story? And maybe there are reasons for that, but something I also was thinking about is like we all know that the master is suffering from some kind of disease, and this disease is like keeps growing, it keeps getting worse. And now that I kind of took a good look at his wife and kind of like I think I might have even seen a picture of his daughters, what they all tend to look very similar, man. Like they look almost exactly the same. Do we have a hostile dragon situations here, like a Targaryen situation? Are they like keeping it in the blood? Is this why they keep getting sick and nobody tells them like, hey, like if you guys want to like cure this disease, like stop freaking mating with your brother and sister? Is that what's happening here? Like, come on, you got to read between the lines of what you're seeing, and it feels like in order for this family to have like this genetics where it's like white hair, pale skin, the same eyes, and they all look almost identical. I feel like it's a situation where like they're marrying the brother and sister to.
Okay, Jamie Lannister and
Me and my sister wife.
Cersei, my sister wife. No, I mean it's funny that you mentioned that because I guess you could look at it that way, right? But I think that family to me at least is still such a mystery.
Mm,
I still need to know way more. I need to know the connection between them and Musan, and why they're like all searching for this one plant that's or flower that's gonna basically do stuff for all that. So like I just know so many bits and pieces, but I think like it's just funny to think about it that way. And yeah, I think with this whole Tokito thing, man, I really do like just that we're discovering all this stuff. Like I don't know what you guys thought of the actual fight itself, and just kind of how
yeah.
he's making Gyoko look like a chump. First of
Oh
all, like
yeah.
Gyoko is still trying to like freaking make himself feel good about being like as focused as the swordsmith, right? There was the one scene where he's like, "Oh my god, he escaped the water prison vase. Like, how did I not notice? Oh wait, maybe I was that focused on my maybe I was
Yeah.
that focused on this." And he's still trying to have this kind of friendly or not friendly, this artist competition with the freaking swordsmith, and dude just can't get over it. And then of course that kind of makes him a little bit vulnerable, and I think Tokito's definitely exposing that because I mean he's whooping his butt quite a bit.
Well, then, like if you remember in the beginning of the episode when he finally got out of the water prison, he's taking out the needles. He mentions like I can't fight, like the poison's getting to me, like this, my body's numb. All these like magic carp mustache fishes are coming at me, and it's actually at
Auto
that
opener.
point that he once he starts to remember some of these words that his father said, is he summons that flame mark. So we haven't even
Oh,
talked about that. So like right away, that's the whole reason why he was able to actually move forward and start fighting like at a more faster speed, stronger, and it even surprises like Gyoko, and like Gyoko is not even aware that this is happening. Oh yeah, he does mention it. He's like, wait, the master Musan told me that only this kid had that mark, but now all
The
of a sudden,
earrings. Yeah.
yeah, but like now all of a sudden, like Tokido has the mark. So it's like any theory you guys want to like talk about that for a second, like why this is happening? Tanjiro is like nowhere though, like in that he's not in that battle. So like, why did all of a sudden Tokido get those flame marks?
I mean, I think it is definitely like he awakened something, right? Because and you know what? Again, we thus far haven't seen anything. We haven't seen him in action, right? I mean, we have like in this arc, we've seen him in action minimally, right? He's done a couple things, slapped some people around, nothing crazy. But I think we haven't seen this. Maybe it is the first time that he's like unleashed that mark, to that extent, right? Maybe he's that amazing of a Hashira that he's never needed it. Maybe he has done it before, but like he doesn't know because unless he's looking at a mirror or his sword, like who knows? But like it was nice to see that it was kind of in this episode. It was a result of him having that flashback, of having that like kind of resurge of motivation, and kind of like he's fighting clearly for his brother. He's fighting for his parents. He's fighting for the freaking swordsmith that made him the first swords, and then the new one that just made him this new one, which I know the name of the sword was called Destroyer of Demons. So that was really cool. So he's having all these like really like he's getting pumped up, man. He's listening to some jock jams, some great music. He's like pump the jam, and like I think it just did it, man, and it flared. And I just didn't like the design because it was just kind of like clouds around the
And his
cheeks.
cheeks, yeah,
It's a little goofy. At least Tanjiro's is like a big old like tree,
Flame.
like
yeah,
flames that kind of come out on the corner. But I mean, either way, it was really good to see it, and then the fact that how it
but
affects his powers and
yeah.
moves.
But this has to be like the Tanjiro effect, right? Because I believe even Tengen in the last season, he was also able to summon these like flame marks. So if you think about it, like you got Tengen that he interacted with Tanjiro. Now he has Tokido that interacted with Tanjiro, and he's getting those flame marks. The only one that kind of got fucked out of it, man, was like Rengoku, because Rengoku at that point, Tanjiro had not summoned these flame marks, so Rengoku was never able to get those flame marks. But could you have imagined, like, if Rengoku all of a sudden we got in that boost, like, he would have definitely killed my man Akasa, like, for sure, man. Like, rest in peace, Rengoku.
He's right to your left right now. He's sitting right next to your left side right
Right.
now.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's
Yeah,
how you
yeah.
know he's in my place.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but like that's kind of how you know that they're related, because I think in a past episode, he had said that he had mentioned how he had his dad's eyes, how
Yeah.
Tanjiro had Tokido's dad's eyes,
Well, like I,
and
yeah.
Tokido's supposed to be a descendant of the son.
Yeah, but what about Tengen? Tengen's nothing.
That's true.
Tengen's just a samurai from like one of the, even to what he said, he's like one of the weakest swordsmen.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd be interested for you guys to like find out what's more happening with this flame mark. But dude, it's super cool, man. I love the fact that all of a sudden, like, think about it, like demons, like they can do all these crazy abilities, any of these like blood art. And the Demon Slayer, even though they do cool moves, technically none of them are actually summoning flames, summoning water. There's actually no miss when Tokido attacks. But now all of a sudden, this magical thing is happening that people can see, and it's actually boosting their abilities. I'm like, hell yeah, it's about time the Demon Slayers get some kind of like mystical ability that's actually making them stronger. So I really love that they're giving that to them, because I think that's how they're gonna defeat Musan 100%.
And I also wonder if that mark's kind of like burning away some of the like bad stuff, like the poisons and stuff like
Oh,
that.
could be, man. I mean, it has to be, right? Like all of a sudden, like he could move,
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem
Yeah,
like poison's a weakness.
that's the one thing I was gonna mention earlier. I'm like that whole thing about him being poisoned kind of lasted very little. Like after the flashback, it's like he didn't even realize it. And I
It
don't
was
think
after the thing.
yeah, but I don't think it's and not because we mentioned it, but like I don't think he's like on his last breath type of thing either. So like because sometimes well, I mean, I guess they said it. The brother did say it. That at or the dad and the brother that at the point where he is fighting for someone, that's when he is the strongest. And
Mm.
so I think that's maybe what it is, right? Like, and I'm glad to see that the swordsmith, like the little kid, I always forget his name, that he's still alive, right? Everybody kept on
I
telling me he was
know.
dead, and I'm like, you don't know that. And they're like, yeah, but his last breath, he gave his last breath for like Tokito, and I'm like, you don't know that. Like, shut up. Like, you're not listening to you.
Ramon, I need you to make me a promise, all right?
What's
Right
up?
now, in front of everybody that's hearing or seeing us, if Kiara ever gets sick and it's raining, it's snowing, there's some kind of terrible weather outside, you will not risk your life to get her medicine. Kiara will be
Or
okay.
herbs.
Or okay.
You,
No
you,
parsley.
you
No
clearly don't
thyme.
know. You clearly don't know me. During COVID times, I was out there unmasked in the middle of a grocery store. Like, come at me, bro. Like, no, just kidding. No, I mean that was a sad story. We didn't even mention that. Like,
He was like, what an asshole, Ibo Tokido saying like, oh, it was his fault, you fucking asshole.
for that I'll give it to you. He was pretty evil for saying that it was his fault or their fault and that they were
Yeah.
stupid. Like the dad
Yeah,
was
the
stupid
dad's
for trying
fault.
to
Yeah.
save them. Like why? Like, but that was a very gruesome death, and I hate that. Like there you are trying to go get some herbs for your wife to like save her, and dude slips in the rain, and this is me after hours of playing Zelda right now, and he's trying to climb walls when it's raining. It doesn't work out. So I don't know what his dad was thinking, but he should have known. It's just it was sad to see him being splattered on the ground, so close. He had the herbs, he had the plan on hand, ready to go, and then poor man didn't make it back home.
Well, the dad apparently never played Zelda, so if
That
he
see,
had,
that's
he might
what
still
it.
be alive.
If you're logging in as many hours as we do, we know. Try not, just don't even bother climbing those walls, man. They're raining. It's raining.
Yeah. I mean, overall, yeah, it was definitely sad the fact that they lost both a father and a
Same.
mother.
Did you guys like? For me, it was a twist, right? It was nothing crazy, but it was a twist. For Muichiro, like Tokito being so, like, oh, I don't need anyone's help. I'm so good. Like, if I'm the strongest, like, why do I need more help? Like, sort of kind of attitude where, like, even when Tanjiro was telling him to like help others because ultimately it'll like come back,
Come
good
back.
karma. Like yeah,
Oh,
he
that's
was
exactly what he said.
yeah, he was never for that, like in real life, right? But in his flashback, he's the one that was very much like Tanjiro. He's the one
Yeah.
that was like, "Oh wait,
Yeah.
no," but like this is all where we should all help each other. And we should all be there for like the betterment of others. And I thought that was really cool. And I just, however you guys were talking about it, I did remember. I
I
remember
forgot.
watching that. I'm like, "Oh my man, see, like here you are giving Tanjiro shit." But I think that's why maybe Tanjiro's words have so much effect on him, and maybe it takes him a second because he's like who are you to be telling me this? And then when he starts having that cross flashback slash memory or hallucination of his dad and Tanjiro together, it's almost like they're all the same people. And then it's funny that they're kind of like similar bloodline. That yeah, absolutely. Like I think it's pretty cool that he has the
No.
same attitude about everything like Tanjiro. But it's actually another point that we haven't touched about this episode. So obviously, like Tokito finally gets a sword, right? The Destroyer of Demons. Pretty cool sword, pretty shiny. He seems pretty satisfied. So
Mhm.
now I'm back to the idea that maybe Tanjiro is gonna get the sword that's 300 years
Yeah.
old. I'm just
Uh,
saying.
well, like I hate that the opening scene is giving us like a little bit too much, but I did catch today in the opening scene that Tokido throws that sword towards somebody, which I can only assume he's throwing the sword towards Tanjiro.
Oh, okay, there you go. They're like, here you
Yeah,
go, buddy. Catch a
Yeah.
yeah,
baton. Gotcha.
Yeah,
No, that's
and
awesome
yeah,
though.
and and the opening also kind of shows that the love Hashira is gonna end up fighting the hate
yeah.
Hate.
the fork.
That's something that somebody else in another podcast pointed. It's gonna be like a battle between love and hate. I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty cool.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
excited to talk about that one.
I
Yeah.
wish I would have came up with that. But it's like so obvious, like love versus hatred. Like who's gonna win?
And this is why I always close my eyes during the intro. I'm like, I don't want to see it. Nope, nope. I watched it the first time of almost like any series, right? When I was watching Naruto and then the
Naruto,
anime.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I watched a little. Like for the first time that it turns into that new arc and they have the new intro, I'll watch it that time, right? Because by the time you get to you don't remember. But there was so many times in Naruto, especially because I just finished that it's oh my god, I saw so like crazy when especially when you get to after the fourth war and you have Madara and all this stuff and you're like, wait, and why is he like the 10 tails like all of a sudden and you're just like, spoiler alert, come on show, like you're ruining it for me. So it's funny that you guys are
Yeah.
mentioning that because I've not tried to pay attention to the intro, but
Mhm.
I guess now I can kind of look a little closer next
I
time.
mean, it never happens 100% to what they're giving you. Like even with like Full Metal, like you get the intro, and it's like those battles don't exactly happen like that, but it's always like teases you, like, well, why couldn't they happen like that? Because that looks so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I also found it interesting that like the jobs that everybody has is like very jobs of the period, kind of like Tanjiro. They made charcoal and they
Yeah.
sold it,
Oh,
and then Takedo like they chopped wood, and then that was their job. And then like you have like the pleasure district from the last season. and all that stuff. Like, and then they're all like
what do they do,
very
Raul?
What
What do they do?
what is the pleasure district? Yeah.
companionship. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, so pleasure. Got it. Easy.
No, I mean,
No,
I mean, it was a different time back then. I mean, there
Yeah.
wasn't any STDs, so.
Yes, of course they didn't exist.
not at all. I don't think this time I was sad that there was no Tanjiro and no fourth upper moon fight.
Yeah,
I think it didn't bother me just because again I've been waiting so long to kind of find out more about Tokito that I think we finally got that, and I think I enjoyed it all the way through. That I'm actually thinking back to it. I'm like, wait, what else happened? And it
well,
just yeah.
like, I mean, it's a little bit. Did you guys think it's a little silly that, they were being told, like, hey, you guys are descendants of, like, Swordsmith and demons are real. And then all of a sudden, like 3 weeks later, a demon shows up at the door. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit convenient. Like, I could have understood if maybe, like, that demon was specifically sent by Musan. That would have made it a little bit more interesting. Like, oh, Musan made it a point to find these kids that are descendants, because I think that's what he tried to do with Tanjiro's family. But the idea of like this random demon just walking into their house, I thought that was a little silly.
And that demon was pretty educated about them. He was like, "Oh, here you are, two little boys alone. No one's gonna miss you." And you're just like, "How do you know that? Like, how do you not know their parents are out like in the back right now, like freaking doing stuff?" Like
At first, I thought it was the
Akasa,
number three. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
Akasa.
he looks like him.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, they would have been fucked.
No, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah,
No, no, yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah. I thought it was him, and then I thought that's why they had like the shadow on like on the face or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then kind of like when they showed the demon kind of like pinned down and like almost dead, I was like, no, there's no fucking way.
So like how like I mean I understood that he's like I blacked out of anger and this boiling rage just came out of me, but like dude, like he did work on that demon. Like I would love to see how
Oh,
that happened. Like, it's obviously it's in our imagination to see how he was able to pin him down like that. Similar to how the Wind Hashira took the mom down. Like you don't really get the fight or how he was able to finally like knock her out. But same thing, man, like dude, he did work. Like that was fucking crazy. Like this kid needs to be put in that
psych
mental
ward.
health hospital. Yeah, in a psych ward.
No, and it is, and it's funny
Arkham.
because like you do have idea Narcom. That's where he belongs. No, it was just yeah, it was crazy to see that because like I figured something like that was gonna happen, especially because he said it first. It was like, oh, and then I blacked out, right? And then, but then when they showed the demon again, man, that demon was like totally torn up. He was dismembered. He had a freaking
Pain.
boulder on his head. He had a boulder in his head. He had like things stabbed through everything. And I'm just like you said, he fucked him up, right? But then more so, just think of the skill that it takes. Yeah, the anger, the freaking like whatever happened and went loose in Tokito's like freaking head and body, like amazing. But he really messed that up. Like that
Yeah.
demon was like again the fact. I think I was really most impressed with the fact that there was a giant boulder on his head and then everything else was dismembered. And then I obviously love that whole idea that he severed his head, he decapitated him, but yeah, he didn't die. So instead, he basically pinned him down using everything to be able to kill him by the sun.
Do you think maybe that was the first time that he summoned these like, this what are we gonna call them, flame marks on his like head? Do you think maybe at that point he got so mad that he was able to summon this flame?
Maybe.
And because I mean, like, how else
Maybe.
would he have been able to take out this demon? Because he didn't have any training, unless they make it specific to say that like because he's related to this guy, he's just so naturally talented, like a Sasuke type. Like I don't understand like how. I mean, and it clearly that's why he's a pillar because he does have like this blood from this legendary swordsman. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit of how he was able to do it, especially with no training at all.
Who knows, man? It's one of those things where, like, again, it happened, and I think you're probably right. It probably has something to do with that mark, like being inflamed, and then all of a sudden, like he's doing all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited to see what else happens with this because, like, again, to every flashback, there has to be a resolution. So, of course, he's gonna probably kill like the fifth upper moon. But then I'm just really excited to see where Tokito like ends up, but like when where he ends up mentally, and then what happens to him now. Like, right? He's remembered more things now. He kind of someone knows that Tanjiro and him have like a deeper connection. And then maybe I don't think it's anyone's told him yet that they're somewhat related in a way. Because like the crow doesn't want to believe it. I think the crow's the only one that kind of has an idea. His crow. So I don't know. I'm just excited for also his like kind of how they deal with him later on and how he becomes a different person because of this experience, and mostly just through the effects of like Tanjiro being so freaking good, and then
Yeah.
he's remembering himself that he was good too. Like man, good people rock. Hell
No,
yeah,
and
let's go.
I mean, not that I didn't miss seeing Tanjiro, but I did like the fact that they focus a whole episode just on one side of the story. I feel like if next week, like if they just give Tokido a little bit more like episode time, like I think Gyoko's dead, man. Like honestly, like I've said from the beginning, like Gyoko never really impressed me. I think the six was a lot stronger than him. But you know, maybe Kyoko pulls something else, some like wonderful, crazy art out of those bases.
Yeah,
No, yeah, because right now it seems that they're like too evenly matched, or that Tokido's a little stronger than him, which kind of doesn't make sense because he's an upper five, so he should definitely be a lot stronger than this. So I considering what happened with the upper four, I'm guessing that there's gonna be some other like level up thing that the upper five is gonna do to
maybe.
prolong the season.
I was thinking about that too. Yeah, I know. To tell me about it, like, but no, but like, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's gonna simply be like Kyoko maybe might have a couple more tricks up his sleeve, but I really don't think that he's really gonna do much better. And I don't think it's just because he's like the fifth upper moon instead of like the fourth, because like the fourth clearly is proving himself. Like he's pretty tough cookie, like difficult one to deal with. But I think with Gyoko, like I think I can see his skill, I can see his potential, but I think at this point, yes, he's been too distracted already by the Swordsmith. Like everything that's going on, and I think that was just enough for Tokito to come in there, do his thing, and I think there's no coming back from it. Like, it's not like we're freaking or sports casting a boxing match right now. I'm like, I really don't think there is much to do with it. I
Yeah.
think he might have a couple good hits left in him, but I think this is basically like the decline on the whole fight, and so I don't know, my man with Tokito, but I'm happy to see that the or the love Hashira is probably gonna go help Tanjiro because
Yeah.
yeah, at this point you're like, okay, Tokito, you're right, you're pretty badass. You don't need anybody, and again, he keeps saying it that he's that good. I think this is where he's gonna prove it. Like he's just gonna end it. So yeah,
No,
maybe one
no,
more episode.
I wish for Gyoko they had kind of like hyped them up a little bit more. Like if they would have said like I'm the fastest of all the upper moons, like that's my skill. That's why I'm an upper five because nobody can kind of like catch up to me because I'm able to like
Yeah,
disappear on the spot.
Teleporting.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like the six, in order to defeat him, you had to cut not only like his head but his sister's head at the same time. And then with this one, it's like you can cut all four and it's still not gonna work. You gotta find the little one. So it's like it's kind of like next episode we get Tokito just cutting his head and that's it. Like I'm gonna be a little disappointed because like oh okay that's kind of disappointing because they all kind of had some kind of trickery that it wasn't just like cut my head and I'm done and it's like for Tokito to just cut his head and be done I'm gonna be like okay well Kyoko I guess you're just a one trick pony.
but maybe that's where her little baby hands and arms come into play. Because clearly, when he got slashed on the neck, his little baby arms are like, "I got you, I got you," and then he covered up. So I don't know, like maybe
what's
he
it?
can be decapitated, but then he'll kind of crawl back, jump back on, like get on there. Like who knows?
What's his backstory, man? I'm actually kind of curious. I had a feeling his
You
backstory
don't
because
Yeah,
I
we
know?
haven't
mean,
seen it either, so we gotta have a whole episode for that too.
I mean, I mentioned to you like right now I kind of like black
Oh yeah,
forgot a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah, so like I don't even remember like his backstory. So I'm like I don't have an idea if it's like I
Yeah,
just think it's gonna be something very very like like brutal like on screen like something even people are gonna be like oh that's kind of like
horrific.
very dark, very dark, yeah. Because why
Yeah,
else would he
Well,
have these baby arms?
yeah, yeah. The other thing that I wonder is that considering that like all the weird body parts are in weird places, I wonder if like his head is really even his head. I wonder if like his head is maybe inside of the
Mm,
base too.
that's cool. You know, I didn't think about that. Like, yeah, you're thinking it's the head, but it's in reality, yeah,
Yeah,
in
so they
one of the
cut it off
bases.
and then like kind of like you said, it crawls back. It's not really the head.
Yeah. No, but yeah, man, I don't know, man. I just I'm excited because like again, we got some really cool Tokido like fight scenes, but like I'm waiting for it, man. I'm waiting for that episode where it's just kind of like, they kept saying like how the animation for this season was going to be like on another level. And they've given us some of that with like Tanjiro on the last episode, but I'm like, I'm waiting for like something really crazy to happen on screen where I'm like, yes, Ramon, let's go take some drugs and watch this for like on replay for like the next 4 hours.
you don't gotta tell me
Binge it.
twice. Let's
No,
go.
no, but you know what?
Stay out of the loop.
These Magikarps though are like the animation are is fucking superb on these Magikarps.
It's so
Well,
funny though that it always,
that
yeah.
that's why I can't also wait to get back to Hatred because his dragons, and we were still discussing whether they were stone or wood, which we're leaning more towards stone after like closer observation of the photos. But like those were also 3D rendered, so they're like CGI as well, and I think they look pretty cool. And for those people that are like they don't like the mix of animation, I'm like I think that's what makes the show like so good because again, you're watching something visually. Who like cares that it's not just all done like 2D, like this kind of like way that you're adding some
Hand.
3D, like yeah, that you're doing some CGI and stuff. Like I think it's pretty cool. I think it gives you that variety. Like Mugen Train was like great for that
Yeah.
reason. I remember that's when I first started watching is when after Mugen Train was released, so I got the pleasure of kind of binging the first season, starting Mugen Train and being like, holy crap, like this is beautiful. Like you have all those like weird blob arms all over the place, and I don't know. Again, it's visually it's fucking stunning, and I still love just staring at the show. Like right now, when Tokito was doing all his slashing, like that, I was just again mesmerized. And again, I didn't get a chance to watch it twice this time, but I'm probably gonna go rewatch it like one of these next couple of days before the next episode.
He's just so cool the way he fights. He's so fast, and I could see why he's so full of himself. But again, I feel like had he maybe gotten the chance to like age a little bit more up, he would have been a lot stronger. Right now, I do kind of tend to believe that like maybe he's just kind of like giving himself the title of being one of the strongest. Because I feel like some of these other Hashira, like the Love Hashira, has to have more skill than him, just because like she's probably older, has more experience. But again, we'll see if Tokido and the Love Hachira all meet up towards the hatred one. But it's just like I don't know, man. Like once Tokido kills Gyoko, and if they all kind of like go against the upper four demons, it's gonna be really interesting to see like how that fight's gonna play out. Because like now I feel like the upper moon, all of it's funny. Like we've been talking about this season, and it's like I feel like in the beginning, like we had the upper hand. Now the demons have the upper hand, and it just keeps going back and forth. It's like, okay, now I'm back on we have the upper hand, but then the next episode is gonna like prove me wrong. It's like, oh my god, how many forms does this demon have?
Yeah,
All of them.
I'm excited to see just if with next episode we go straight into the final, hopefully, part of the Tokito Gyoko fight because I mean we're there right now, so why not just finish it? But it's probably gonna go back to the other
Yeah.
fight. And so again, this is kind of still the thing that it always bothers all of us. But you know what? At the end of the day, I still enjoy doing these episodes with you guys week to week. But again, I will probably, and I think actually, what is it? Crunchyroll is releasing the dub version like already before it's even like finalized. So I'm excited to finish it in Japanese and then go back and rewatch like binge the whole thing in English just for to really stare at the freaking visuals and not have to like read every other time. So
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's
I
crazy
agree.
because I even like I forget how like Tanjiro sounds in English because like
me
I'm so
too.
used to it, and then you hear him in English and it's like, oh shit, that's how you sound. Like okay,
And then, thank you everybody for listening always. I think right now we're getting actually a little bit more comments, feedbacks, and stuff like that on different types of social media, YouTube. And again, we're not here as experts. We're not here as like any kind of like know-it-alls. We're definitely more reacting to these things because we like them. And if we were to go hang out in person right now, which me and Carlos are 2 rooms apart, we would still be talking about this, right? So it's not like we're doing it because we're forcing ourselves. We're doing it because we already do it in real life, and we enjoy like talking about these things with each other. So as like our little community kind of grows, or we have a couple people here and there, we really enjoyed all your feedback. Whether you enjoy what you're listening to, or you're correcting us from time to time, that's okay because we're not experts, and we have some disagreements sometimes. But I think that's probably like the best part about it is that
yeah,
it's like some people watch this stuff religiously, and props to them. I'm still
yeah.
trying to pull this off in between. I just got out of work 9 hours later, and I'm right here doing my homework and hanging out with you dudes. So it's always a pleasure.